Hello and a very good morning to all my dearest students. Untuk hari ini kita akan masuk bab baru. Okay, we will enter new chapter, chapter 12. Okay, chapter 12, which is coordination and response in humans. So, subtopic that we will discuss today is coordination and response. Coordination and response. Okay, so organisms, okay, such as human, okay, have the ability to detect changes. Okay, kita ada kebolehan untuk mengesan perubahan. Okay, changes in their environments and response to these changes. Okay. So this ability is called as sensitivity. Okay, kebolehan ini dipanggil sebagai sensitivity, whereas the change that stimulates the response is known as stimulus, in plural called as stimuli. Okay, so the stimulus is divided into two types. Okay, ada dua jenis stimulus. Okay, that is external stimulus and also internal stimulus. So what is external stimulus? So external stimulus is stimuli from the external environment. Okay, stimuli daripada ataupun rangsangan daripada persekitaran luar. Contohnya, okay, light, sound, smell, taste, surrounding temperature, pressure, and touch. Okay, and then for internal stimulus, okay, stimuli from the internal environment. Okay, include changes in blood osmotic pressure, changes in body temperature, and changes in blood sugar. Dalam arti kata yang lain, perubahan yang berlaku dalam tubuh badan kita. Mammals, okay, mamalia seperti kita lah, manusia, humans, can detect stimuli. Okay, boleh kesan stimuli ataupun rangsangan via the special sensory cells. Okay, melalui special sensory cells known as receptors. Okay, receptor inilah yang akan kesan rangsangan yang kita terima sama ada daripada luar ataupun daripada dalam badan. Okay. When a receptor detects a stimulus, such as sound, the stimulus is converted to the nerve impulses. Okay. And then nerve impulses ini are sent to the brain. Okay. Impuls ini akan dihantar ke otak through nerve cells. Okay. Ataupun neurons. The brain, okay, otak is the integration center that translates nerve impulses and coordinates an appropriate response. So pada otak lah di mana otak akan menerima maklumat. Okay, dan maklumat itu akan diproses dan akhirnya akan membentuk satu response, okay, yang sesuai. So what is response? Response refers to the way organism react after detecting a stimulus. And the part of the body that responds is called the effector. Okay, examples of effectors are muscles, and glands. Okay, receptors and effectors, okay, work together. Okay, bekerja bersama-sama to bring suitable changes depending on the stimulus detected. This figure shows main components and pathways involved in detecting and responding to changes in the external environment. So, at first, stimulus from the external environment. Okay, pada mulanya terima stimulus ataupun rangsangan. Contohnya, the sound of phone ringing. And then this stimulus will detect by sensory receptors. Okay, rangsangan yang berbentuk bunyi ini dikesan dan diterima oleh sensory receptors in the sensory organs and transform into nerve impulses. And then nerve impulses are sent through the sensory neuron to the integration center, which is the brain. Okay, so in the brain, nerve impulses are interpreted and a response is triggered. Jadi pada otak inilah tempat untuk memproses segala maklumat yang diterima daripada sensory neuron tadi. Okay. Kemudian response akan triggered. Okay, a response is triggered. So a response is triggered and impulses are sent through the motor neuron to the effector. Okay, so effectors such as hand muscles produces a response which is answering the telephone. Jadi kalau diringkaskan di sini, kalau disusun ikut urutan, pada mulanya stimulus, kemudian detected by sensory neurons, okay, and then sensory neurons itu transform into nerve impulse, dan nerve impulse ini dihantar ke otak. Kan pada otak akan memproses segala maklumat yang diterima, dan neuron, okay, neuron akan dihantar melalui neuron lah pula. Maklumat yang diproses tersebut, okay, akan dihantar melalui motor neuron kepada effector. Coordination is a stimuli detection process by receptors that ends in appropriate responses by effectors. Okay? And coordination ensures that the overall activities and system of an organism function and are synchronized perfectly as a complete unit. Jadi segala aktiviti tubuh badan kita dan sistem-sistem yang pada tubuh badan kita, okay, saling bekerja sama, okay, mempunyai fungsi masing-masing, tetapi masih boleh bekerja sama dan synchronize perfectly, okay, sebagai satu unit yang lengkap. Okay. And the role of coordination and response is conducted by two separate systems. That is the nervous system and also the endocrine system. Okay. Both systems work together to coordinate and control responses. Okay. This figure shows the main components and pathways involved in detecting and responding to changes in the internal environment. So, external environment sudah cikgu terangkan tadi, sekarang ni adalah internal environment. So, seperti biasa, bermula dengan stimulus. okay, from the internal environment, daripada situasi ini. Okay, stimulusnya adalah blood pressure increases during running. So, tekanan darah meningkat semasa berlari. So, stimulus ini akan dikesan oleh receptors. Okay, dalam situasi ini, baroreceptor. Okay, detected by receptors in the aortic arch and carotid artery. Okay, kemudian receptors ini, okay, nerve impulse daripada receptors ini are sent through the sensory neuron. Kan, nerve impulse akan dihantar melalui sensory neuron to the integration center. Okay, to the integration center. So, integration center di sini adalah cardiovascular control center in the medulla oblongata. Okay, medulla oblongata salah satu bahagian yang terdapat pada otak. Okay, struktur yang terdapat pada otak. And then the cardiovascular control center sends the nerve impulses through the motor neuron to the effectors. So the effectors, okay, apa yang berlaku adalah effectors ni akan react, di mana apa yang berlaku adalah weaken contraction of cardiac muscles and the expansion of blood vessels diameter. Okay, in order to reduce the blood pressure to the normal range. So, secara ringkas di sini, okay, bermula dengan stimulus. Stimulus dikesan oleh receptor. Kemudian, nerve impulses daripada receptor ini dihantar melalui sensory neuron. Okay, di mana sensory neuron ini akan menghantar nerve impulses ke integration center. Okay, kemudian impuls tersebut, okay, ataupun maklumat yang diterima oleh otak tersebut akan diproses, kemudian menghasilkan respons yang bersesuaian. Kemudian respons tersebut akan dihantar melalui motor neuron dan akhirnya kepada effector yang akan menghasilkan suatu gerak balas. Stimulus, receptor, sensory neuron, integration center, and then motor neuron, effector, and then produce response. Okay, types of receptors. Okay, receptors ni ada beberapa jenis Okay, di mana setiap receptor tu akan detect stimulus yang berbeza. Okay, so sensory receptors found at the end of the nerve fibers. Okay, to detect information in the external and also internal environments. And the location of receptors will depend on the type of stimulus detected. Okay, seperti yang cikgu cakap tadi, ada pelbagai jenis receptors. Dan kalau kamu lihat di sini pun, location dia pun bergantung dengan stimulus yang perlu dikesan. Okay, so each type of receptor is usually sensitive to a specific stimulus. Okay, for example, the sensory receptors that detect stimuli are found in special sensory organs. Okay, contohnya eyes, okay, mata, nose, tongue, and also skin. The sensory receptors that detect internal stimuli are present in specific internal organs, such as pancreatic cells, okay, that detect blood sugar level. So from this table, okay, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of sensory receptors. Okay, photoreceptors. Okay, photoreceptor, the stimulus in the form of light. Okay, sebab itulah nama dia photoreceptor. And then thermoreceptor. Okay, dia punya stimulus adalah change in temperature. Thermometer. Okay, sebab itulah nama dia thermoreceptor. And then chemoreceptor. Chemical. Okay, so dia punya stimulus adalah chemical substances. And then baroreceptor. Okay, baroreceptor. Dia punya stimulus adalah change in pressure. And then mechanoreceptor, touch and pressure. And lastly, nociceptor. Dia punya stimulus adalah pain. All receptors, okay, semua receptors can be considered, okay, as energy converters. Okay, where receptors can convert. Okay, receptor ini boleh convert one form of energy into another. Okay, yang di sini receptor ni melibatkan perubahan bentuk tenaga lah. Okay, so for example, the eye photoreceptor. Okay, photoreceptor ini converts light's energy. Okay, dia convert tenaga cahaya into electrical signals. Okay, which is a form accepted by the nervous system. Okay, seperti yang ditunjukkan pada gambar raja ini ya. Okay. So, kenapa response ini perlu? Okay, kenapa penting response? Necessity of response. So, the ability of organisms to detect changes in the external environment and its response to the stimuli is very important for the survival of organism. Okay, for some animals, a sudden change in climate conditions motivates the animals to look for new shelters. Okay, and then the ability of organism to detect changes in the internal environment is also crucial so that the information can be transmitted to the integration center. The integration center will then transmit this information to the effectors to respond to the changes. Okay, for example, when the body increases above the normal range, this information will be transmitted to the integration center by a receptor. Okay, and then the integration center, which is brain, will send nerve impulse to the effectors to decrease the temperature back to its normal. So in conclusion, humans and animals need to respond to adapt the changes in the environment. So keperluan utama respons ini sebenarnya sebenarnya untuk membolehkan kita menyesuaikan diri. Untuk mengadaptasi dengan perubahan yang berlaku pada persekitaran. Sama ada internal environment and also external environment.